Seven, six, five, four, three, two, one.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
And for those of you that are new, be sure to hit the subscribe button as well. What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Kyle Gott and I'm a Staff Sergeant in the United States Air Force, and I am almost done with my first 6-year enlistment. And on this YouTube channel, I've spent those last 6 years documenting my Air Force career, and I'm about to be separating this fall, and I'm gonna be documenting the process of getting out of the military as well. After 6 years of experience in the military, I figured I would drop this video on you guys of the top 5 biggest mistakes that I see people make. Now this video is sponsored by Air Force Association, which is the AFA. The AFA is a premier professional development association for airmen. The Air Force Association mission is to promote a dominant United States Air Force along with a strong national defense. It is also to honor airmen and the Air Force heritage. The AFA promotes aerospace education through its grants, its scholarships, and also its professional forums. And the best part about the AFA isn't that it's just for airmen. It is for anyone that wants to be a member. So if you guys want to be a member, I'll include a sign up link in the description down below, and you can check that out after this video. Now, one of the mistakes that I see people making when they join the military is not joining a professional development organization. Now, like this video is sponsored by AFA, they are also considered a professional development organization. Now, there are so many that I'm not going to list them all off into this video, but there are 2 that I'm going to talk about. So the AFA and also ACE. Now, since I'm in the Air Force, I'm going to be talking about Air Force related things. However, you can use these same tips to help you in no matter what branch that you're joining in the military. Being a member with AFA will actually score you the Air Force magazine, but not only that, you will get some career assistance along with savings with shopping and travel discounts. You'll even have access to financial programs, health and wellness services, insurance, and legal services to make sure that your family is taken care of. And the other professional development organization that I mentioned was ACE, Airmen Committed to Excellence. Now this is an awesome opportunity for anybody that's a new airman. It's specifically for airmen that are in E1 to E4 in the Air Force. This gives airmen a chance to get hands-on with volunteer opportunities within the community. It also gives them a chance to learn leadership skills through others who have been in the military longer. ACE is quite possibly the most joined professional development organization for airmen in the Air Force, and it's something that I would highly suggest that you look into if you are going to join the Air Force. Now, the next thing that people make as a mistake when they're in the military, and this doesn't just pertain to the Air Force, this pertains to every single branch in the military, and that is not investing in your TSP. Now, this is something that I am extremely passionate about because I did not invest in my TSP for the first 4 years that I was in the military. And I really look back on that and I regret that now because it was a really stupid decision. Because back then I didn't want to live with an extra $100 out of my paycheck every single month. And now I'm looking at what I've been able to save in the last 2 years, and I'm kicking myself, and that's why I don't want you guys to make the same mistake that I did. Now, the military recently rolled out a brand new retirement system, which is called the BRS, or the Blended Retirement System. Now, I personally think that this is an amazing opportunity for so many of you guys, because in the end, only 17% of people who join the military actually do 20 years and get a retirement. Now, that is a very, very small number. That's less than 1 out of every 5 people when you go to basic training. And a lot of people go in thinking they're going to do 20 years, and the reality is they're not. And so unfortunately, up until this point, a lot of people could get out of the military with no military retirement at all, or a very, very small retirement saved up. Now, with the blended retirement system, that will actually match 5% of you contributing to your TSP. So if you're putting in 5% of your base pay every single month, the military will give you an additional 5% to your TSP. Now, I think that this is an amazing deal because even if you do 4, 6, or 10 years and get out, you can still save up a decent amount into your TSP, which is basically the military's version of a 401k. This is your retirement savings. And with that, you can save so much money in such a short amount of time with that 5% match if you are contributing that you could do 10 years and get out and still have built a pretty good retirement that will continue to build until you're 65. Now, if you guys don't already know, I actually wrote an ebook several months ago called The Secret to Building Wealth in the Military. I'm gonna have the link to that book down below. It will cost you $20 if you wanna buy it, but I packed a lot of good information in it. It took me several months to write this book, and it's something that I'm super passionate about because there are mistakes that I made, and I don't want you guys to make the same mistakes that I did when investing into your future. Now, the next biggest mistake that I see people making in the military is saying they're going to do 20 years as soon as they sign up for the military. Now, this is something that I just touched on in the last thing of investing into your TSP, which is only 17% of people that join the military actually retire on average. Now, this is a very, very low number, much lower than most people think. For instance, when I went to basic training, I'm going to estimate around 90% of the people in my BMT flight out of 60 of us said that they were going to do 20 years. I'm about to hit my 6-year mark, and we're looking at about 50% of us, around 30 of us, are already going to be getting out after 6 years. We still have 14 years left till we do 20, and that number from basic training, 90%, is now down to 50%. So as you can see, as your time goes on in the military, a lot of people will change their mind from the very beginning, and this can be kind of disheartening because you almost plan your life based off of, I'm gonna do 20 years, this is my plan. And then 4, 5, 6 years go by and you're like, you know what, maybe the military isn't for me. But when you did decide to join and think, I'm gonna do 20 years, it kind of shuts your brain off to planning for the future, planning a different path, setting yourself up. So my biggest suggestion to avoid this mistake that people make is to come into the military with an open mind. If you think you might do 20 years, that's perfectly okay. But the biggest mistake with that mindset is not planning for the opposite to happen. Now, there's a lot of things that can happen. You could get kicked out, you could just decide it's not for you, or you could get let go because of whatever's going on. For instance, in 2013, they had a big rollback of people and they just cut a bunch of people that technically weren't doing anything wrong in the moment, but the Air Force had to make a decision and we had to kick people out. So it's not a guaranteed thing that just because you want to do 20 years, you'll be able to do 20 years. And that's why I highly suggest when you're in the military, don't just set yourself up for an awesome 20-year career. My advice for you guys is to set yourself up so whether you stay in or you get out, you will be successful no matter what. So build a resume as you're in. Don't be focused on 20 years in the military. Be focused on 20 years from now. It doesn't matter if you're in the military or not. Just keep all your bases covered. Make sure you're prepared for whatever's gonna happen in those 20 years. So many people do not pay attention to the rules, or they don't even take the rules seriously. Now, that is a huge mistake in the military. You can ask anyone that's actually gotten in trouble in the military, and they would tell you, sometimes you can get in trouble for something that you would deem very, very little. But the military takes the rules very serious. There's not much bending of the rules. It's pretty black and white for a lot of things. And sometimes if you break a rule, it could even result in you getting demoted or kicked out of the military. Now, don't be afraid that like anytime you move a finger or sneeze, you might get kicked out. That's not the case. Most of the stuff you might think, oh, that's common sense. And I tend to think that too, but there are some times that people just make mistakes. So for instance, getting a DUI might be something that is common sense. Yes, probably something that you should never do. But it does happen, not just in the military, it happens all over the world. But the military takes it very seriously. More than likely, if you get a DUI, you are going to be losing rank. And then not only that, you're gonna be on like a probation period for a few months or a few years. And it just becomes really stressful because you actually take a pay cut and then you lose rank. So then you have to deal with what you had just stepped up from at your job. So it can be really stressful in that way also. Also, just not obeying orders. This is a common thing. Some people don't think it's serious. Like show up to work at 6 o'clock. If you show up at 6:30 every single day, you're disobeying orders. You can actually get in trouble for that very seriously. Again, some of you guys might think common sense, but this is something that happens even in the military. There are some people that just don't pay attention to the rules and take them serious. You have to understand that when you join the military, it is a very, very structured environment. At least they try to be. Now, it's not always super structured, but that doesn't help when people don't follow the rules. So things aren't always gonna go as planned. but they're gonna go even less as planned if less people start following the rules. So this is why they really crack down on people when they don't follow. So even in your job, for instance, I do maintenance. In the maintenance world, if you don't follow your job guides, for us, which is called our technical orders, this is how we're supposed to do our job on the airframe. Certain repairs, we have to do certain steps. We're supposed to follow everything to a T, black and white, in paragraphs. We read how to do everything. And if you deviate from that and it isn't a good way to deviate from it, and you don't have a reasonable excuse as to why you did that or some other tech data telling you why you can do that, you can get in some serious trouble. And the last part of this not taking rules seriously is a lot of people forget that you are in the military 24/7. When you sign your name on that dotted line, you're not just saying, hey, I'm gonna go to work 40 hours a week. You're saying, I'm probably gonna go to work 40 to 60 or maybe even more hours a week, because the military is salary, it is not hourly. So if they wanna work you 40 hours or 80 hours, they can do that within reason. And believe me, it has happened sometimes. I've pulled a 70-hour work week before. Was it fun? No. Did I have a choice? No. Because that is what I signed up to do. So there's been several times that I've actually got called in on the weekends. Do I want to go into work on my weekends? Not at all. But that's what I signed up for. I am in the military 24/7. When they call me and I am needed, I am going to go in. Doesn't matter if I'm out to dinner with my family. It doesn't matter what is going on. All that matters is that I signed a piece of paper saying that I am going to be a military member 24/7 until my enlistment is up. All right guys, my last tip for you guys of my biggest mistakes that you can make in the military is not utilizing the Airman's Attic. Now I'm assuming other branches probably have a similar thing on their bases. Now this is basically like the thrift store of the base. So a lot of people will donate their old uniforms there. Some people will donate brand new uniforms because we all get initial issue, but then over time people will go buy new uniforms, but then they go to separate and they still have these uniforms, and some of them they might not have worn, and they don't know what to do with them, so they just drop them off the Airman's Attic. So actually in Alaska when I was there, you were allowed to get, I think it was like 10 free clothing items, like military clothing items, every single month. As long as you brought in your LES, which is your leave and earnings statement, which is like basically your pay receipt, and you can print that off online when you're in the military. But you would take that there, verify that you were an airman, an E1 through an E4, and you could get like 10 clothing items. So when I was in Alaska, I actually got a waffle shirt, and those run like 30 bucks, and I got it for free. I didn't even have to pay for it. Definitely utilize your Airman's Attics. The one in Alaska also had furniture, it had housing appliances, it had anything. It was literally like going into a Goodwill. So if you don't want to pay to go get those ribbons from the BX for full price, you can sometimes go to the Airman's Attic and they might even give you those ribbons for free, because people just drop them off because they don't need them anymore. Because when I update my ribbons or I update whatever I have going on in my uniforms, I get new stripes, then I can just take those to Airman's Attic and get rid of them there for free. And then they can either sell them for super cheap or for free to another airman that is in need, that can't really afford or doesn't want to pay full price for them. All right guys, well that was my video on the top 5 biggest mistakes that I see people make in the military. Now if you guys have other mistakes that you think people make in the military, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. I might think about making another video in the future about other mistakes that people make in the military, because that's what this channel is dedicated to, is helping people get better in life. So if you're new to this channel and haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. I would love to see you guys join the group. And also don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And I will see you guys in my next video. Peace out.